talk to you about a myriad of things today. But before we get to those, for those that are watching the interview, would you mind showing us your living quarters, your living situation on campus?
Sure. So I'm sitting at my desk currently, and then behind me, I have this like really big comfy chair where I like to do my homework, and sometimes I sit there for class. And then I have my bed, and then my TV right across from it, and it's sitting on my dresser, and then my closet and the door.
So you've made the most of the space that you have, that's for sure.
Yes, I have quite a few things put in here.
All right, so let's move on further to just kind of catching up and seeing where you are and your team is to this point. Really want to just learn more about your particular situation. And really, you mentioned it already, talking about going to class, sitting in your chair. It's the norm right now for our students. What for you has that been like? I mean, how much of a challenge has it been to not walk out of your room and go to an actual classroom, but really just stay where you are currently to take the classes?
I definitely feel that some days it gets a little like not necessarily boring, but just kind of the same thing. Like I'm not going anywhere. Like if you go between classes, you get the 10 minutes to walk around or breathe, and I really have to like make myself like get up and like get some water, get a snack, like just make sure I'm not just sitting in the same place all day long. But it's definitely not been too bad. Like I just make sure I stay in a routine, like get up and like eat breakfast and just make sure that I'm prepared for my classes just as well as I would have been if I was in person. Like even though it's in my room, I still don't want to be scrambling for things I need. So I just try to keep it as similar as possible.
So you mentioned the routine and obviously trying to make it as close to what you're used to. What things are you still able to kind of keep in that routine so that you don't have to completely change everything that you do?
Well, like I said, I try like in those 10 minutes to make myself like, okay, I'd be walking right now. Like, let's just walk downstairs. Like, let's let's do something. And then just, you know, occasionally if I have time, like I'll go pick food up from the calf and like bring it back. Or like last Friday my house one of my housemates and I like went to the calf and got breakfast and like sat outside and just try to fit any normalcy into the everyday.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned those things because some people who aren't here might think that you guys are in jail, like you just
No.
can't leave. But you are allowed to go around campus and do those things. You just have to do it in smaller groups and certainly not having classes in person. For someone who is our female academic athlete of the year last year, someone who is very into school as much as your sport, what was the biggest challenge initially with your study habits? Did they change? Are you someone that likes to go elsewhere to the library or somewhere else on campus, or were you kind of content because you usually study in your room?
I was very fortunate in the fact that I do normally study in my room. Or like if I do want to get out of like my living area, I'll go downstairs in the living room, and sit down there. But yeah, ever since freshman year, I've always been someone who sits and does my homework in my room because I just need to make sure I'm focused and I can't really do work with other people around. And if I saw someone walking by in school, it would distract me.
Let's move to your sport and talking about the schedule of uh, not practices. We're not having those per se, the sanctioned practices, but how do you and your teammates schedule runs, knowing that it can't be all the females or all the males of the cross country team? It should be smaller groups. How is that working? What are the logistics like for the team?
Yeah, so basically right now, like you said, like everything is on our own. Like we can't do anything as a team. So it's definitely been a little upsetting. But a lot of us live with people on the team. So I live with Angela. So like maybe we can do things together. Like we'll do our core together. We'll start our runs together. Or sometimes like we have small groups, just like maybe you and a partner. But it's definitely been a big difference because we're used to like meeting with the girls and the guys team as a whole, and that's not happening. Like I haven't seen some of the guys but once on campus this year, and it's definitely upsetting because we're a combined sport, like for practice wise.
Is there part of your sport that kind of feeds well into this situation though, too? I mean, you don't have necessarily a practice session where everybody's on the same area, and Coach Reed is always telling you what to do. A lot of times it seems though as you guys just go out and you know your times you have to get and you run. And so from that standpoint, is it really that shocking or to the system that you don't have a coach around, or you don't have this necessarily the structure as you usually would?
You're definitely right. For like cross country and track and stuff, it's definitely a lot easier because like the actual like race or like certain things is an individual basis. Like I don't have to pass the ball to someone. Like I don't have to do anything like that. So it definitely is easy that like, oh, I can just go out and run on my own. Like I don't like necessarily need to practice like drills or anything with someone, but it's definitely nice when you can have that one person, and just it's nice to have Angela like around and have her to run with or do our core every day.
I want to move to kind of your role. You know, you're a senior this year. You have pretty much been on the radar, been successful since your freshman year. Before I get to talking about what you think your role is going to be, I'm curious to know if you had goals coming in your first year, and if you have met those or exceeded those long-term goals that you gave yourself about your potential career as a Lynchburg Hornet.
I personally think I've exceeded my goals that I originally gave myself. Like in high school, I didn't even imagine running in college, and then I was like, "Oh, wait, that's possible!" Like, so I definitely didn't imagine like freshman year, like, oh, that I'd be going to nationals, and then last year it was like the most exciting thing ever. So I definitely think I have met them and made new ones. But it definitely is crazy and a lot of fun, and I'm definitely upset that cross country was taken away this year, or for this semester at least, because that is what I made it to nationals in. That's what I was looking forward to see, like if I could make it back and if I could do better at the actual meet.
What's the hardest part about preaching positivity and then actually staying positive as well? Because we hear a lot of great words, but we also know there are people who, even if they're saying to be positive, when they get by themselves, they don't feel very good about the situation they might be in. So, from your standpoint, what's the biggest challenge there, and have you been able to overcome that?
I definitely think the one of the challenges, you're right, like being alone, it's definitely difficult, but you just have to we've over like since my freshman year, like Coach Reed's been really good at making sure like we stay in contact over the summer, and we just have different group meets, like as the whole team or as the girls team. And I think that's one thing that's really helped us personally, is that we talk in our group chat every day, like make sure that we check in on our teammates, like make sure that everyone's doing well. And that's definitely helpful for me personally, and I'm hoping it helps the other girls, is that even though we can't necessarily see each other or be there with each other, is that we are still connected virtually every day.
Related to him as a coach, what have you enjoyed about his style? You know, he hasn't been a head coach very long, so certainly I would imagine he may have changed just as much as you have changed in the last 4 years.
He's definitely changed a little bit, but what I love about Coach Reed is that he loves this sport, and he loves like cross country and track, and loves his team, and he'll do anything he can to help you succeed, to help you do what you need to do. And he just like he puts his whole effort into this team, and like this is what he does, this is what he loves. Like I think he also coaches like a high school team, so like he just like running is part of his life, and you can definitely see that, and it definitely helps. It's not just like something he does to make money, like this is his passion, and that definitely helps, and a great coach.